Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michael. Welcome to the third season of the online Goalball teaching workshop. The Department of Sports Science and Physical Education, the Chinese University of Hong Kong, is honored to hold the Hong Kong Physical Education Teachers Conference 2021, commissioned by the Education Bureau. This online Goalball teaching workshop is one of the workshops on teaching of physical activities, third, of the Hong Kong Physical Education Teachers Conference 2021 in collaboration with the Jockey Club Sports Without Limits Youth Empowerment Program. Before we start, I would like to draw your attention to the following disclaimer. The views expressed by our guest speakers in the workshop were their own and should not be taken as the views of the conference and program. The workshop will be photographed and recorded in main room only for the advertisement and promotion purpose. There will be no recording in breakout rooms. The rundown of today's workshop is shown on the screen to facilitate discussion and interaction among us. We encourage our participants to turn on the camera. Without further delay, let me pass the floor to our guest speakers, Dr. Kwok Ng and Mr. John Bestebroer. Thank you.
Yeah, we're at the very final meeting. So well done for being here and persevering through these 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. So my name is Kwok and I'm accompanied here by John. If you'd like to say a few words, John.
Good afternoon. Hope everybody is well. Good to see everybody again. So let's start. I'm ready.
Very good. Thank you. So I will just share my screen on this one. Let's get straight to some of the questions we did with our quick assessment. On this slide, you should be able to see the questions we've got about one of the first question. What is the reason you have to turn away your face behind your arms from the ball when you are in a defense position? It is easier to hear the ball coming because your ear is more open to the court, to protect your face from the ball, or your body is more streamlined so it's easier to stop the ball in front of you instead of the ball bouncing, or it feels more comfortable. So John, what is the answer to this question?
The answer is to protect your face because the ball can come with a high speed and it's not very nice to get a ball into your face. I understand that maybe people think it's also good to hear better, but that's, let's say, the extra. But the priority is to protect your face for the ball. That's really important.
Right. Okay. So what John says that it's a priority to protect your face. That's the main answer there. And some people may have it for hearing purposes, but that's not the main reason behind it. Okay. So let's go to the next one. Okay, which perfect throw will bring more speed into the ball? Throw it backwards with 2 hands, throw it with a run-up, a 360-degree rotation throw, and throw it without a run-up in combination with a long swing. So John, what's the answer to that?
Yeah, if the throw is perfect, then it's the 360 degrees because the ball is in a swing, what created already some speed, besides the running in a rotation throw. So the 316 degrees is definitely the ball, the highest speed.
Okay, thank you, John. So it's definitely the fastest one with the 360 degree. It's also, isn't it, John, that one with the highest level of difficulty? So it takes quite a bit of training.
It's a high risk ball, as we said, and this is a lot of training just to get the right feeling, the right steps, the right way of getting it to the right position. So yeah, it's correct. It's the hardest throw, but it brings the highest speed. So it's a choice what you want to do.
Yeah, of course. And we showed a little bit of that on our video of how that might be taught.
Yeah.
So I would say try to teach it and see how it works for your pupils. Okay, the next question. When the ball goes out of play, how does the ball come back into action? Does the referee bounce the ball to the floor on the side of the player? Does the referee give the ball to the center player? Do the assistants fetch the ball and hand the ball to the player? Or does the player retrieve it and come back to the orientation, in other words, the team area? Okay, John, what's the answer to that?
The answer is that the referee bounces the ball on the floor. But I have to say that if you play a match on Paralympic level, you see by very big tournaments that there are more assistants. But normally the referee is always the one who bounces the ball, and the assistants bring the balls to the court. And the bouncing of the ball is always next to the goal. So it's close to the player as well. So not to lose time.
Yeah, and this could be one of the things for the other students to do when you've only got a few people playing and you've got many other students in a class, right?
That's correct. Yeah, so everybody get involved with the game.
Okay, so everybody's getting involved with the game. Okay, very good. Next question. What is the best part of the defense position? So is it that your legs is the best part to defend? So when they're a little bit open so that the ball cannot bounce over? Is it your arms because you can quickly grab the ball for the next throw? Is it that there's no best part because you're making your body as long as possible in a correct position? Or is it your belly? So the ball arrives in the middle of your body. Okay, John.
The answer here is that there is not really a best part because you need your legs, you need your arms, everything to stop the ball. So the taller you can make your body, the less the chance that there will be a goal against you. So it is and legs and arms and everything below, let's say.
Okay, so I think one of the things that strikes me with this question is that if there's an advantage with the arms, so that means you can quickly return the ball back to the opponent.
That's true.
Whereas with your legs, you have to stop the ball with your legs. Then afterwards, you have to kind of pivot on the floor to then pick up the ball, and then you can start to throw it. So when does the time begin of when you've got to throw the ball back to the other side?
Well, the moment you touch the ball, then the 10 seconds starts. So if you bounce the ball from your body, let's say 5 meters, then you have to grab first the ball, which costs time already. It's not that you can take the time when you have the ball, and then if you are in position, then the 10 seconds. No, it is when the touch of the ball is there. That means that the team is ready or can have the action. Then the 10 seconds starts. So what you see, if I look at the legs, for example, some players, if the ball bounces to the legs and they feel it, they put their legs up, they kick the ball to their face, let's say. That is also a lot of practice, but just to speed up the way of getting the ball as soon as possible in their arms to start throwing.
Right. Wow, that seems like quite a complex technique to first stop the ball on your legs and then having to almost roll it up towards your face and then having to stop the ball where the ball doesn't actually hit your face. So you have your arms ready there.
You know, every year I see new techniques that I think, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that was possible too. So even I am still learning after all those years.
Right, fantastic. Well, very good. Okay, all right. Well, thanks for the answers to those questions, to that question. And then I think this is the last one. Does the player on the court always have to be in the same position to defend? The options were no, they can defend and throw wherever they want in the team area. Or is it yes, the player cannot move to another position to defend or throw the ball? So in other words, they are fixed. Or is it yes, the player has the same position to defend, but they can go anywhere to throw? Or is it yes, the player does have the same position to defend and only during a substitution can they change positions? Okay, so many complicated variations there. What's the correct answer, John?
Well, the correct answer is no, because in the rules there is no anything mentioned about you have to stay in a position. And this is the good part of goalball. It's also good that you have the 10 seconds. So if you change the position, you have to be aware what the rest of the team is doing as well. because it puts, let's say, the team effort and the team communication very high. So there is no specific place to throw or to defend for a player. Everybody can be on the left or on the right side or in the middle. What you see that some players are more specialized because they prefer to stay on the left side or they prefer to stay on the right side. But that's a personal choice, let's say, but that's not by rules.
Okay, so quite a long answer there. Did anybody get that in the chat team, the typing team? Maybe I can paraphrase a little bit there. So yeah, basically that they can move wherever they want, but some players may be like right-handed, so they prefer to be on one side of the court, or left-handed, the other side of the court, or they might be given some tactics from their coach to say, you're better off throwing on the left or right side because their defender on the other side is weaker potentially, or there's a gap. And so that gives the freedom to move. There's no particular rules that say that you have to be in the same position at all times. So it can be quite dynamic. I suppose one of the follow-up questions to this could be about the time. So we've heard about this 10 seconds. In terms of a school setting, John, I'm putting you on your toes right now. So how flexible is that time going to be if you're trying to set up a school-based goalball activity?
Well, I think for school activities to start, it is more important that everybody get a chance to throw. So it's more important that you keep the rule of throwing twice as a maximum and then somebody else has to throw. That is, in the beginning, more important. The time pressure of 10 seconds is, as I said, already a pressure during matches because you must go and you cannot communicate. And so the team building together, it should be much higher. So if you look at school activities, I should put the time in the 10 seconds, not a high priority. For me, the high priority is more that everybody keep throwing and not only those players or students who are very strong or making points or whatever. So give everybody an opportunity to throw. That's more important.
Okay, right. So just to paraphrase a little bit for the text, then again, you're saying that the time issue is probably not a high priority, but more a case of given the priority that everybody gets a chance to throw and to maybe limit the number of throws per player before they can throw again. Could be one option behind as a strategy. So then you don't always get the strongest players always throwing, but you get everybody to throw, which I think is a very good way of doing things and a fair way about it. And only the time pressures in the game to make sure that, for example, a team that has scored one goal, that they just don't keep possession of the ball for the rest of the game, that the ball has to go to the other side, so the other side has the opportunity to also shoot as well. And that makes it fun between the two. Yeah, I think in that situation as a teacher, you can change the rules a little bit to say that if they are 0-0, then afterwards, maybe they must try to throw themselves within a reasonable amount of time, and then after they score, there has to be more equal balance, so the opposition has the opportunity to also equalize as well, rather than just to keep the ball.
What I also saw with schools is with young people is that the time pressure, the 10 seconds, is very excited for them. We were working half an hour on the way of throwing, technique, defend. That went very well. But when we put the time pressure on, then suddenly they forgot everything because they were in a rush, hurry, and quick and stuff like that. So again, at the end, that should be one of the things you should start with.
Yeah. So the time pressure, just what you've just said there, is also a fun element to the game, because now they have to do something and they're under pressure, and they've trained so much to work with the techniques. It's actually good to see how they work with their techniques under that pressure. So that's a good good fun aspect and certainly should be brought in at some point when you do your teaching. Was that as put a way to put it? Okay, wonderful. Thank you, John. Okay, so let's move forwards. We've got quite a diverse set of questions that came in this week. It's funny why the font looks really strange, but anyway, I'll first of all put the questions to the Chinese University Hong Kong group. There was some type of discussion about it's difficult to make videos due to the time of year. So they would like a little bit more information about this, about the procedures for submitting the videos. Would someone like to talk about that from the university?
Should I speak in Cantonese?
好。
OK， 咁我唔知 exactly 老師嗰個疑問係咩，咁我哋可以如果再解釋唔清楚，可以再問嘅。咁基本上咧，大家喺琴日已經收到一個 email 咧，就同大家講咗點樣去交嗰一份功課。基本上你係要填一個 Google Form 嘅 link 啦，然後咧就要 upload 你嘅 lesson plan 上去，咁個 lesson plan 咧有機會同你之前做嘅功課其實一路鋪排過嚟咧，其實都係可以完成到個 lesson plan。咁最後咧就要拍一個 video， 最多5分鐘，咁裡面咧就包括你去講解，你去示範點樣去完成你嗰個 lesson plan， 再加裡面5分鐘裏面嘅2分鐘咧要去講解翻你嗰個你點樣運用個 step 同埋嗰個你嗰個想法係點樣嚟嘅，咁就基本上係咁樣。咁我唔知有冇老師覺得係仲有其他問題解釋得清唔清楚，定係有其他困難
？Eva，
係
好。
如果我嘅表達咧，其實係我嘅講解咧，我係用 iMovie 跟住加啲 text 咧，有冇問題咧？嚟到去explanation 我嘅諗法啦，同埋嗰個 step 我嘅諗法啦。
喺埋條片入面嘅，係咪咁嘅意思？
係啦，iMovie 我用 iMovie 加埋個 text 嚟到去表達即係嗰個 explanation 啊，同埋嗰個 step 嗰個嘅 concept 啊咁樣。
即係話你係用廣東話講之後加一啲英文嘅 text， 係咪咁嘅意思？定係
我直情係淨係用文字表達，響個 iMovie 有個 text 嘅，我會係係啦，每一段落我係cut 咗佢嚟到去，即係響用文字去解釋。咁我覺得好過係完咗之後，我講一大堆即係會清晰啲咯。我覺得咁樣係。
OK， so I just do。因
為我上一次嗰個sitting volleyball 我都係咁表達嘅。咁我覺得即係翻嚟嗰個即係 feedback 都幾好咯嚇。
OK。
OK， 我好，你咁做咧，係 OK 啦。我覺得咧 the key crucial thing is to put that information into the document to text, so we can look at the text document. If you put it in the video, that's also okay for you, but bear in mind you want to keep the video to be 5 minutes maximum. Okay, try to keep maximum. You can actually, it's 5 minutes, absolute maximum. If you go like 5 minutes 59, that's still 5 minutes, I suppose. So you have up to like 6 minutes, but please don't go more than that. And if you can write it into the document in a Google form, then that gives us an opportunity to read what your intentions are. That's the crucial thing. So even if you put it in iMovie with how you've done the step, that's also okay. It's the visual aspect, but we're also looking for the text aspect of it as well, if it's not too much work for you to do. Is that 夠唔夠清楚？
清楚。咁阿 Kwok 你嘅意思就係即係 iMovie 可以照表達嘅，即係嗰個 movie 加埋嗰個 text 咧都 OK 嘅，不過就要有一份Google 嘅即係教案 嚟到去擺上去，你嘅意思係咪？
係，好。
哈哈。我講得啱啦。
Yeah. I think so. I think that's, if it's not too much trouble for you to add that into the document as well, then okay, the text that goes with the step. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, so and I must say that Eva, this question came up before you sent the email yesterday, so maybe it's already answered some of the questions, but I've just put this here already in terms of the preparation. But if there's any more questions, we have a little bit of time at the end of this, or you can put it in the questions in the chat and we can address this either by responding in the chat, or we'll find some time at the end to discuss this. Back to us, both John and Kwok, to talk a little bit about the questions for the instructors. So there's a questions about safety procedures. It was a little bit vague. There was a question just about safety. Now we've covered safety quite a few times already with regards to how to maneuver people, how to have the equipment, how to protect themselves, how to make sure that the person walking is the person who finds someone, not for someone to hold someone and move them without either their permission or their own readiness. Because when you don't have your vision, when you're moving, you tell yourself already that you're going to be moving, so you get ready for your surroundings. And if someone then drags you and you're not ready, then you're more likely to fall over. Okay, so that's why we have this situation whereby you stand next to the person, okay, and then afterwards you tell the person, I'm standing next to you, can you grab my hand? Okay, and then they find where your hand is, and then afterwards they can walk, or find where your shoulder is. So they put a hand on the shoulder and then they walk. Okay, but you tell them where you are, and the person then responds, not to you to say, here's my shoulder, and then you move your hand, because you've not got their permission, and also they might not be ready. So then there might be more dangerousness there. I don't know if there was any other safety procedures, John, that you feel are needed to cover. Okay, another question, maybe John, you can answer this one, is how to change players during the game.
Well, you have to ask the referee to do that, so it's not during the game, as in the ball is in action, so the ball has to stop, and then you can ask for a substitute. And what you see is that players coming to the line, and the player who want to go in is brought by the coach to the line, and then they swap. But if they are in the line in court, it will be really on to the players. And of course they use the goal to go to the position where they think it is. So they're using the top of the goal to move to their position.
Okay, so very good. So the idea is that in a game, you ask the referees for substitutions, and then the procedures about this, that they try to find their way by using the top of the goal. Okay, one thing I wanted to share with you, I thought is really nice. One of the teachers who works in a school with physical disabilities actually suggested this as a way of teaching. It was, when I finish teaching goalkeeping of football, I may introduce goalball, as they are similar in some extent. And I thought this was very creative in terms of how you might bring in this sport for your teaching. John, do you have any comments on that idea?
Well, it was an eye-opener for me, to be honest. I don't ever had the connection with football, goalkeeping, and goalball. But when we saw it on paper, it was for me an eye-opener that I thought, okay, that's new. Yeah, why not? Because it's a good combination, and it can bring also more skills to each other. So I was very pleased to see this kind of ideas.
Yeah, very good. So John was a little bit, he's learned something new from this course. It's always good when we have the instructor learning something new, and cultural-wise, it's also very important as well for all of us instructors to know how to deliver this. I think this, as I said, I found this was a really good use of the professionalism of a teacher to think about how in the curriculum you might be able to adapt the sport to fit your curriculum. So you're not changing the football curriculum per se, but you're putting in a skill set from another sport into that. And it might make them better as goalkeepers, or it might make them think about how to play goalball. You know, so you've got like a win-win situation, lots of added advantages and lots of benefits behind it. So well done to this teacher. I think this is a very good example of how you as professional teachers can really think outside the box and really think about how you might be able to put it in your school context. So well done for that. So I just wanted to, you know, congratulate that teacher for doing so. I don't know if I've got the permission to say their name, so I've just left it as that, and hopefully that person knows who they are. We will go into the breakout rooms in a little bit. I'm going to launch another poll just right now. Okay, and then we'll go into breakout rooms after this poll. So this poll question is, if you're going to start teaching goalball, what would you consider to be the first thing to teach? Is it going to be to learn about the rules? Is it going to be you're going to explore the court? Is it going to be the closed skills practices, or is it going to be to play a game? So what do you think now as teachers? What do you think you're going to be doing if you're going to be teaching goalball and you're going to start doing that? What would be the first thing for you to do to teach? And I'll give you 30 more seconds to complete this poll. So if you can quickly find a way to get on that poll, then please go ahead with that. Last 10 seconds, if you can quickly put in your entries, what do you think? If you're going to start teaching goalball in your school, what do you consider to be the first thing to teach? Do you just get them to, do you learn the rules first of all? Or do you have to explore the court? Do you do closed skill practices? Or do you play a game straight away? Okay, right, I'm going to close the vote very soon. This is your last opportunity. If you are not voting, then I don't know what you're doing right now, but try to vote in if you can. And I'm going to close the vote now. And then I'm going to share the results. We've got some very shy teachers right now. I'm going to share the results. So some of you, only 7% said to learn the rules. Only 14% said core exploration, 14% said closed skill practices, and an astounding 64% play a game. So, John, what do you think about this? Because I think when we set this question up, we would have thought of a different way of starting the game, starting to teach.
Yeah, well, I understand that play a game is what they think, but it should also be important to know a little bit more about the court and let's say the skill. The rules will be at the end. Step by step, you will learn more about the rules. And even now, for me, once in a while, I think, let me think, what was the rule again? So that will be at the end. The basics should be important. But knowing the court is very important. Know how to throw. But here it is important not to put too many time in it. I can give a training lesson for half an hour about how to defend. But if the motivation gets gone of a player or a student, then you don't reach the goal of getting somebody involved in the sport. So I understand the answer, play a game, because during a game, everything comes together. But I should also focus on what is the goal and what is the court and the skills a little bit.
Yes. Okay. So a quick summary of this. If I would, what John said, as well as what my thoughts are, I think it's quite interesting to see teachers produce this answer, play a game. I think this is what we tend to do as PE teachers. We want them to play a game because we believe it's fun. But the But I think we've got to think about, what does play a game mean in terms of goalball? If we're talking about we're playing 3-a-side with eye shades and in a full-size court, then that is certainly not going to happen, because nobody really understands how to play the game, or what is the objective behind the game, other than just to score goals. But how to stop the ball, how to throw the ball, what happens if the ball leaves the court, what happens if the ball hits someone, what happens if you want to rotate the players. So I would say that would not necessarily be, from a perspective of pedagogy, I would suggest that that's not actually the first thing to do. I would also say that it is important, particularly with people without visual impairment, to play a situation with visual impairment. The first thing to do is to explore the court. How far away is the target? Which direction is forwards? Which direction is backwards? Which direction is left and right? And where is the position to put yourself back to? Where is your home, your neutral place? So for me, when you do the teaching, this would be the first thing that you would cover. You would cover the understanding of how to move, because if not, you play the game and everybody wanders off towards the side of the hall where there's all these chairs. That's not what you want them to do. Or they have to take the eye shades off, or they then have to come back in, which is then cheating, because then they're watching where the ball is. So then you're not really playing a game. You're not really reaching your objectives. The thing about the rules and the closed skill practice, this is 50-50, I would say. More or less, the rules can come a little bit later. But if you have your skills practice, then you've got to know how to roll the ball, how to stop, how to move, okay, how to anticipate the ball. What kind of position do you need to be to anticipate? Like, are you in ready position? What is your ready position? Is it just standing up just here with your hands up high when the ball is going to be low down on the floor? Well, so no, the ready position will be where you're nice and low, so you're ready to extend out your body to stop the ball depending where you see the ball. So if you think about, and you may have seen in some of the videos in the goalball, if you think about how you anticipate the ball, you start in the center position, then you think you hear the ball is going to your left or going to your right. So then from a center position, if you think the ball is going to your right, you extend out to the right. Okay, if you think you're going to go to the left, extend out to the left. Or if you have your team situation where everybody goes left, so then afterwards, even if the ball goes to your right, it hits your leg. Now, remember what we said about how the ball would stop with your legs, and then you have to get the ball from your legs to your hands. So obviously, you'd rather want to turn the ball to your, if the ball is going to your right, to have your hands onto your right. So then you can get the ball and then you can play it. Okay. But of course, it doesn't really matter. You can be as long as possible. However, the anticipation, you have your personal preference on that. So these things make the game fun. These things make the game happen. And that's when you can start to play the game. So for me, it's almost the last thing is to do when you're actually teaching. You want to have fun and build in fun into it, but you can also have fun through the other elements behind it. Not just to play the game, because the learning objectives there are probably not going to be met afterwards, other than maybe that they've experienced playing goalball, but quite probably not very well, especially if it's the first time you're going to start teaching it. So just have a think about that with you all teachers who indicated this, and just think whether you would agree or not agree. Maybe this will happen in a short while. John, do you have any more comments about how I've kind of broken that down about this question?
No, I think that's correct. That's how I see it as well.
Okay, wonderful. Right, without further ado then, let's move to the breakout room. We're going to cut this short to 10 minutes. Okay, we're going to cut this short to 10 minutes. I would like you to think about the small-sided games. And the small-sided games is what we talked about in the presentation over the last week. So it will be only for 10 minutes. And if you can share with the other teachers your thoughts on how to use small-sided games in your lessons. Okay, all right. So enjoy meeting and talking with others in a breakout room. Okay, and welcome back, everyone. hope you've had a good chance to listen to others and talk to other students, teachers, sorry, about your experiences and your thoughts about small-sided games. Could we have potentially one of the rooms to share with us what you have said? One of the groups from one of the rooms?
Maybe I should, oh, please.
Yep, go for it. No, Michael, please do.
Oh, yep. Maybe I should do a simple conclusion. Actually, teachers.
If you just one sec. If a teacher in Michael's group would like to speak,
yeah,
we could always invite them to speak first, and then
sure.
maybe you can conclude, Michael. So which teacher was it?
Hi.
Hello.
Yep.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Maybe I share some ideas, because I always think that when the student first came across this kind of sport, they may feel unsafe when they try to they have to lie down on the floor, and they have to go keep the goal ball. I think they will feel unsafe, and it's not easy for them, especially when the student have some physical disability. So I will try to provide more opportunity for them to feel feel how to do the goal keep. For example, they can open their eyes to play the game, to try to goal keep the ball, and also I will make the length, the court length longer than the normal. So when the player they throw the ball to the goal, they have enough time to respond, to lie down, and they can practice how to lie down to go keep the ball. And when they have enough practice, I can shorten the length. But at this time, they still don't need to bind to cover their eyes. They can keep opening their eyes to play the game, so that they can feel safe to play the game. And when they feel they can have enough skill to go keep and to throw the ball, shorten the length, and then they can try to cover their eyes for the goalkeeper to cover their eyes, and they will know the area. They can have the safe feeling to go keep the ball and not to hit other things when they are playing the games. So I think to build up their safety is very important when they try to learn this kind of sport.
Okay, thank you. John, do you have any comments on that example?
Well, I think very important is that if students are comfortable with the situation, then it's easier for them to get more and more and more involved. And getting more comfortable is starting with seeing when possible. This teacher also spoke about unsafe on the floor, but I didn't understand that very well, especially when they have physical limitations. But the way he said, making the court longer, so there's more time that the ball is coming, that brings good opportunities for students to get more comfortable. So I agree with that. I think that will help as well.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. That was a really good example with regards to making the court longer, maybe starting off with the vision there, maybe depending on their impairments and their types of physical impairments, whether they feel uncomfortable being on the floor and getting back up from the floor. I think that's some of the challenges on that, especially if they're used to being in a wheelchair. I don't know if that was the situation, but maybe that's one thing we can just consider and think about. And then the idea is that they would extend it from goalkeeping because it is similar skills, and it's really good to see that we're hearing the same example with the extending from football goalkeeping or any sport goalkeeping, as a matter of fact, water polo, handball, football, to then do goalball, and you're doing essentially the same skill is goalkeeping is what you're doing. So really good to see that extended example, and safety as a priority with regards to building up their confidence. As I mentioned in previous sessions with our students, it probably takes about 5 to 6 sessions, weekly sessions, to build up their confidence in the awareness of things. So it isn't instantaneous. Some it is a little bit faster, but on average, if you allow yourself 5 to 6 weeks for that progression, then you'll be looking to be using it with blindfolds shortly after that, in that period.
Maybe I can say something about that as well, Kwok, that once in a while I see also teachers who start with Goalball that they are using soft, I call them mats, in the goal. So if they are on the floor, then it's very soft for the students and also very comfortable. And after a few weeks, they take away the soft mats. And then what you see is that they're playing a game and not knowing if it's soft or not. So that will also help for safety reasons and getting more comfortable for the students.
I agree, and this was in one of the videos that I showed in the last week, where in the English school they were using mats, and again that's for a beginning part. And I did ask you all as teachers to think about what are the slight obstacles with having the mat. And one of the things is that obviously when the ball comes, it can bounce on the mat and then over the person. So depending on the ball and equipment, so it's not the ideal piece of equipment, but it's certainly a good beginning to get them comfortable with the ground. And then afterwards, you can get padding, clothing, if they take it more seriously and they still find it's uncomfortable and discomforting to go on the floor. Elbow pads, soft elbow pads like volleyball elbow pads, on the knee pads, and you can also get hip pads like from V Shorts that they have them as well. So there's this kind of equipment, personal equipment, to ease the discomfort of being on contact with the floor. So that means that you can use hard concrete, or you can use wooden floors, or you can be outside on the grass. So there's lots of ways to be playing the game and lots of different environments for that too. I'm going to skip the next group if I may, unless if someone wants to type it in the chat box so we can discuss that later, just so we have time to go to the next activity. Hopefully this one is another poll. Hopefully we should find people answering this rather easily. If a player cannot find the ball, how can the teacher help? Should the teacher ask the player to open their hands and place the ball in front of their palms? So you give them the ball in their hands. Should you tell the player that you are in front of them, then grab your arm? So that you're going to tell them to grab your arm and then go to the ball with them. So you then walk with the ball. So it's that situation whereby you don't grab their arm, but they grab your arm. So they take your arm or put your arm on the shoulder. Is it the direct the player to the ball? So you say it's 2 meters in front of you. So then they have to try to move 2 meters. Remember, this is with their blindfolds on. Okay. Is it move the player to the ball and tell them it's in front of them? So that way you drag the player to the ball and say, hey, it's there. Or is it that you bring the ball to them and then bounce the ball by the foot of the player? So there are 5 different answers, 5 different options for you to consider. You can change as you like. And we've talked a little bit about this earlier in some of the questions. We talked a little bit about the safety and the orientation. So I hope that we can see what kind of responses that you get from this. I'm going to leave it open for 10 more seconds. So if you haven't responded to this, you now have 5 seconds left to answer the poll. Okay, it should pop up on your screen. Okay, and I'm going to close the poll now, and I'm going to share the results. Okay, so you had most teachers say that it was direct the player to the ball, i.e. it's 2 meters in front of you. And then the second most popular answer was bring the ball to them, then bounce the ball by the foot of the player. Nobody said move the player to the ball, so that's the safety thing we discussed. Another one said tell the player you're in front of them, they hold your arm and you take them there, or then the other one is to ask the player to open your hands and you give them the ball. Okay, only 6% said on each one. John, do you have any comments about these answers? And yeah, define your correct answer as well.
Yeah, well, I think it's important for the learning process that a player, if he can't find it, that we help him a little bit. And of course, you can tell, okay, it's in front of you 2 meters, and you can direct him to the position. Or you can go directly to him, say you are in front, and he take the action to grab your arm, and then you go to the ball. So it depends a little bit on the state of learning. Is it in the beginning or later? But yeah, you should take some actions and bring that student involved with the ball again. So you have to direct him and not moving him without ask him what to do. So he should be involved and be safe and comfortable in the action which is coming.
Okay, so my perspective on this and the way that I'm thinking the answer is that in a game type of situation, if the player cannot find the ball, you need assistance to get the ball. And how we would normally do this is that we would bounce the ball by the foot of the player. So then the player then has to take the actions because it's next to them, which is what 29% of the teachers have said. The idea about directing a player to the ball, the trouble behind this is that if it's only 2 meters in front of you, one, you need the student to have an idea of what is 2 meters. And then the second thing is in front of you is that where is in front from that person? Is it directly in front of them, or is it like 1 o'clock? Is it 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, if we were to use the clock face for the directions? So then you might say to them, well, it's 2 meters in front of you, and they're just spanning their arms all across the whole thing before they find the ball. That might take up quite a long time to do that. Of course, it's good for the student to understand with orientation, to get an idea how to find where the ball is, particularly if the ball is dead, as in it's not making any sounds. Okay, that's one of the reasons for the bouncing the ball, because then afterwards it creates some noise from the sound of the ball. So the idea is that the player can then find the ball using their senses with their ears. And if you put it next to them, then it's very quick. They can get back in with the task and activity. It can take a while. And I think we showed it in one of the videos. If you watch the Hong Kong Jockey Club video, and if you watch throughout the whole YouTube one, I don't know if we can put it in the chat box where the link to that video is on YouTube, but you'll see there's a situation whereby we had one of the people trying to find the ball. Okay, and he was very close to another player, and is very close to the other player's feet. So he was almost grabbing the other person's foot, but wasn't actually grabbing the ball. Okay, so this is how difficult it can be to try to find the ball without using your eyes. So yes, it's important to find, but when it's dead, then it becomes very challenging. And even if it's very close to you, you still don't know whether it's close to you or far away from you, because there's no sight of where it's going to be. And when you're in a classroom where it's very noisy, or quite noisy enough anyway, if everybody's doing this and people are talking, then it becomes even harder as well. So I wouldn't necessarily say directing a player to the ball would be my first instinct, okay, to do this. But I would say that you could bring the ball to them and bounce it to them. So you use some of their senses for that. I'm reluctant to take them to the ball as well by them holding my arm and taking it, because that can take a while. If you've got all the time in the world, then you can do that. But I would say that if you're in a in a 50-minute lesson and you want them to be learn as much skill as possible and have as much fun as possible, I'll try to reduce that potentially wasted time to then then carry on with the skill as much as possible. But yeah, so I see the chat link, the link in the chat is there with the YouTube video, and have a look to see whether that would then change your mind how you would do that in terms of how you do your teaching. Do you have any added comments to that, John?
No, the basic is that the student should take action as well. So putting him and bringing him, then he's only following, and that's not good for the learning process. So if you bounce or hold the arm, it is important that the player is involved with the next action, let's say.
Okay, lovely. So now what we're going to do is we're not going to spend 10 minutes on this. We're going to spend 7 minutes. 7 minutes on this. Okay. Actually, we use a very good number. We use 8 minutes. Okay, 8 minutes for this. And I'm putting up a result that you've sent in, and we've asked them, how confident are you to run a Goalball competition for your students? And we've got quite a lot of people that rated 5 and 6, a few 7 and 8. And so what I'd like you to do in your groups is to really discuss the competition format you could create an inter-school competition. So if we've got 2 teachers, I want you to talk about how you're going to get your 2 schools to discuss and have a competition in your breakout rooms. Okay, so we're going to have 8 minutes to discuss, and afterwards we'll like to hear about the possibility where you have a competition between your 2 schools in Goalball. Okay, so have fun there. Okay, and so we're all coming back. Welcome back, everybody. Very, very good. Oops, not doing that one. Competition formats. Do we have one of the groups that would like to talk about how they're going to arrange the competition? Even better if you've organized the date, the venue, and what year groups you're going to be competing and things like that. No, in all seriousness, how are we in terms of progressing, how you would think about how having a competition between schools? Who would like to talk? I can see Kenny on video. Does that mean you want to talk?
Yes, I'm from IB school, intellectual disability school, and then setting just like the Special Olympics, we divide into two aspects. The first aspect is the skill practice, and just like the attacking, they can throw the ball, but not to the opponent, but to just like bowling. And they hit how many bottles, and then they get how many marks. And then for the defense, we just the staff roll the ball, roll the ball ball to them, and then they can stop how many balls, and then they get how many marks, and then to divide who win and lost. And then the other aspect is the competitions, and then the competitions is we divide into high ability group and low ability group, and then after we divide the group, and then start the competitions, and then the high level group, they can compete for the gold medal, and then for the low level group, they get the maybe a challenge for the cup, and then just like this.
Thank you, Kenny. Really good example using something like the Special Olympic ethos, where you have skills, and identifying those skills is really important. So I think you've really learned quite a lot about Goalball and particular skills that you can have for this. So they were really good to keep things fun and interactive. You can have individual medals, individual awards and rewards, and breaking it down into different aspects, as well as then having a mini game. So it's good to bring other kids together to play that. So well done, really good example. John, do you have a comment on that? That kind of example?
Oh, no comments. It was good to hear that there are some difference in level as well, because normally you also see the best ones are going to tournaments or in action, but it's important that everybody is involved. So it's good to have the individual support, let's say, as well.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Kenny. Now, there was another person from the group also who wanted to say something as well, right? Would that teacher like to unmute themselves?
Yeah, I would like to share some ideas. I'm the same group with the teachers, just sharing their skills. And then especially we are in a special school. Our school is a kind of physical disability school. And then we have some new sports. When we are making some ideas in new sports, taking them into our curriculums, or to have some taster, we will plan for to occupy into after the fixed units in our curriculum. And then, for example, we may put that sports into the KS2. That means the students are around 9 to 12 years. And then in our school, there are almost 4 classes in this age group. And then we will plan some teaching units around maybe 2 months and to learn these sports. And they will learn some rules and skills for taster. And after that, we will have some competition. And then we will divide them into 2 groups, maybe walking groups and wheelchair groups. For the walking groups, we need to generate some more interactions during the competition, so that maybe we will modify the tours. Maybe the ball, we will change some elastic ball and then grabbed it by some plastic bag, so that people can hide their eyes and then can hear about the voice made from the plastic bag, so that they can know the direction where are the ball from. And then we can have a small match between them. And for the wheelchair group, maybe we can do it on the table, so that they can move around a 2-meter wide. And then we can just use the surface on the table, and so then they can be more controllable around the rules and the ball to keep it very, very easy. And then this is our ideas.
Okay, thank you. Really good creative ideas involving both people who are ambulant, so people in this walking group, and those who are using wheelchairs. John, any comments on that first before I then summarize over everything?
No, I think it's good to hear that there are real involvement in groups, in qualities, in walkers and wheelchairs. So that's good to hear that there is, let's say, involvement for everybody.
I think one of the things from this teacher, sorry, was it Miss Wong? I think, so thank you for that. I think what was really good is that you're looking at the curriculum and how you integrate it to your key stages. So really well done on that, and really good to highlight this, and also to mention that it's not just a 1 or 2 week taster and then that's it, it's done. You're looking into it as a block, as a full block within your semester, within your term. So that's a really good consideration. So please try it out, and please get in touch with us and let us know how you got on with it. One thing that I would say about the wheelchair on the table, I think one thing that this is something we didn't cover, but have a look into something like table cricket. It's a game called table cricket. It was designed in the UK, and you may do a similar thing with goalball. You may end up having some kind of smaller size ball, and you might have some kind of rolling mechanism, and it may have some kind of sound in that. You may have, you may have like a bat to defend rather than using their hands and legs, depending on the severity of the impairment and the use of the chair. And table cricket is really popular, but it's not designed to have a hearing element to it. So this would be a unique form and an adaptation of like goalball meets table cricket, so table goalball. Potentially you might be creating a new game, and there might be a huge uptake on that, which would be fantastic. So please let us know about that. And for the other groups, it would be really good to hear how this will happen, and try to integrate other schools to have competitions with this as well. It would be good to see also, the physical impairments group school with an intellectual impairment school to actually come together and have a pan disability sports game. Try that to happen at some point or another.
I hope.
But thank you.
Thank
yes. Good luck to you on that one. We shall move very quickly onwards because we're getting very close to the end of time. There is this quick assessment. I would suggest you do this in your own time. So if we can put this in the chat box, this link, and do that in your own time, so then we can move forwards with the next part, which is pretty much the very closing end. We have done 3 weeks of learning some professional training in Goalball. We started with the introduction and the rules. We then went into some of the techniques and how to plan lessons. Then we did the small-sided games, competitions, adaptations this week. And then it's now down to you to start looking at doing this lesson plan. If you've not already done it, to start recording it, submit it, make the video, prepare the lesson. So prepare the lessons first. We had the instructions sent out by our colleagues at the university. You should have received that yesterday. Please keep it to 5 minutes maximum. Okay. Let me just say one more time. 5分鐘 maximum. Okay. 最多係5分鐘。唔該你哋。Okay. And use this form for submitting the lesson plan into that. Okay. And then one more thing is just some instructions about how to do it. These are the 4 areas that you'll find in your form. It would look a little bit different. So try to think about this, write it in detail so another teacher may be able to look at this and set it and carry out the activity. So if they read it, they would say, this is what you're trying to do. This is what I would want to do. As if they are a substitute teacher. Like if you have to go on a training course, like another one, or meet with John and Kwok on another training session, but you want them to do your lesson plan. So write it in that kind of detail. If you have a figure, include that as a document rather than only in the video. So there is the download area in the form, so you can also include it there as well. Or you may have it on a document on a drive, and you can link it by just sending the link there. And that way we can get a better quality teaching preparation form here. Okay. And last but not least, thank you ever so much for your attention. Thank you so much, Chinese University Hong Kong and Hong Kong Jockey Club for their support. Thank you for the Education Board. And it's been really, really good. I have to say, I do a lot of teaching around the world. So does John as well. But in terms of university support, I do quite a lot of it, in America, in Europe, and now also here in Hong Kong. And in Europe, because she's organized a very, very professional and excellent service and excellent way of organizing this. So teachers, if you go to another course in another country, it might not be of this high level in terms of preparation, in terms of organization, but this group is absolutely fantastic. So at least when you do your photographs, which will happen next, a big round of applause for them. I'd also like to just highlight there is the Paralympic Games. Hopefully it goes ahead. I believe it's going to go ahead now. And there's two things to bear in mind. There's the goalball competition from the 24th to the 5th of September, and there's the sitting volleyball on the 27th and on the 5th. And we will be in touch with you directly, John and myself. We will send out an email to you unless you do not want to be involved. Then we will invite you to watch the game with us on a Zoom connection, and then we can talk a little bit about the game. It's just to have a bit of fun, just to relax, and we'll have a... So that's our invite to you, informal invite, the after party per se, and we look forward to that. I will stop sharing my screen now, unless John, you have any final comments that you'd like to say?
No, the only thing I want to support you in the way the university is organizing everything. As you said, I'm doing it worldwide as well, and I wish this was the standard, because then it should be very easy for me to work. So thank you very much for everybody, including teachers, to listen to us, and wish you good luck with the video.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so over to you, Michael. Thank you very much. Completely forgotten to mention this. I didn't realize we had this extra 2 slides. If you are in from the Jockey Club group, please use this feedback form. It is very, very important for us. And also, if you are from the EDB schools, there is the from the Hong Kong Physical Education Teacher Conference, there is the feedback on the right-hand side. Of all things, this is really important to complete. So it helps us go forward to develop this going forwards from the university, as well as for us in terms of the instructors as well. It's completely anonymous per se, so we do not, well, not say completely anonymous, but we do not, you know, put you to the individual with your responses. So please be as honest as possible. Thank you very much.